Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition that we've got on our broadcast here on SA2Eire Live. Thanks to everyone that is tuning in to watch it, whether you're tuning in live now to look at it while we're on here, or whether you are signing in afterwards and viewing it. We are very happy to have you here with us. So welcome to today's broadcast. Mandy, welcome to you.
Thank you.
All the way here from FRS Recruitment, speaking to our members today. Some of you may have seen that we were meant to have Lynn on today as well, who is talking to us from a retired person or a person in retirement age moving to Ireland, but unfortunately ill. Lynn has become a little bit ill and won't be able to make the session, which works out great for Mandy and myself because there is so much information that she has available for everybody in terms of finding work from a recruitment point of view, going through it, working with people, helping them make the moves, helping them find the positions that is the positions that gets them into jobs. And we are very happy to have the entire time here to be able to speak to Mandy so she can give you guys as much details as possible to help you make this as successful as we possibly can. So Mandy, tell me a little bit about FRS Recruitment. Where are you guys from? Where are you based? What is it that you do? What do you specialize in?
Okay,
Give us the deets.
Yeah, I've been with FRS for 19 years. FRS stands for Farm Relief Services. The company started 30 plus years ago offering a relief milking agency, and they grew into a multifaceted sort of agency and business. So we've got the farm relief, we've got fencing, we've got training, we've got a farming software, and then we've got the FRS Recruitment, which is where I am. So I recruit in the technical engineering space. So that would be anything technical, so production, maintenance, engineering. I work a lot in the food industry, so quality, new product development, health and safety, environmental. So we cover a lot of different areas. I just do technical engineering. Jason is my son. He also works for FRS, and he covers the logistics and supply chain desk.
Okay.
And then, we have other specialist consultants doing IT, administration, accounting, nursing, doctors, retail. Yeah, so pretty much across the board. Apart from teachers, I don't think there's anything that we don't recruit for.
We actually had someone that was at a training session for lifting that was facilitated by FRS not so long ago.
Yeah. So we have the training section as well.
Yeah, I was a little bit of a fangirl, like, I know FRS. So we've obviously, you have a lot of people that come through that are looking for work, who some may be in South Africa still, some may be here from South Africa, freshly landed, some may be here for 5 or 10 years already. In terms of people looking for work, you come across things that people do, that they make mistakes, that gets them not seen by people.
Yes.
What are the biggest mistakes that South Africans make when they look for work in Ireland?
They don't give us enough information on their CV. So first of all, the CV is not Irish ready, which means it's often backward, your first job and then working backwards from there.
Okay.
Where it should be your current job and work backwards from there. Candidates also don't give us information like I have a British passport or I have an EU passport. They neglect to put the dialing code. Like, I know the dialing code is +27, but I'm not the only recruiter in the whole of the country. So if you're sending your CV out and you're not giving the information that they need, then they're, you've got 7 seconds. When I open a CV, if I don't see what I'm looking for, I move on. I don't have time to read each CV word for word. So what I'm looking for are keywords, and key phrases. So, if I open up a CV and I don't see and I think that goes for most recruiters. If they see a CV and it says South Africa, but there's no dialing code, they're not going to be bothered to go and look it up.
Yes.
So there's not enough information, the CV is not updated, or it doesn't align to what I'm looking for. So if you're applying for a production manager job, but you've been working in construction all your life, or you've been working in the mines, doing something, or whatever it is,
Yes.
it doesn't fit what I'm looking for. So I don't contact you to discuss it with you.
Yes. Now, random question.
Mm.
When you put a position up, when you advertise a position, roughly how long does it take before you start getting responses, and how many responses do you get on average per advert?
So once it goes up, so we've been using Indeed a lot more.
I saw you guys on there today, actually.
Yeah, we used to use Irish Jobs, but apart from it being frightfully expensive, we were just getting very random CVs, a lot of CVs of people from the subcontinent, so Pakistan and areas that we aren't looking for candidates from because their English isn't good. So once it goes up, I don't know, maybe an hour, and we'll start getting responses. And depending on the job, like if Jason puts up a warehouse job, he could get 60 applications overnight.
Yes.
Mine are more specialized, and so I probably don't get as many, but there are some jobs where you get, 30 applications. But then once you've gone through it, out of the 30, there's maybe 3 that you can contact. So we get a lot of nonsense application where they're nowhere near suitable.
So it is to the benefit of people to actually stay on sites like Indeed and look for the newest listings that's come up and apply on that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Happy days. There you go. If you're listening to this, keep refreshing.
Yes.
And then make sure you get in there so you get seen in the first batch as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Now, Mandy, when you look at the average person that's applying for the positions when they're coming in, right? We're going to, there's the mistakes that people make in terms of the CV layout that they have, and then there's the mistake, should people be sending their CV multiple times, or is once sufficient? Like, in the background, is there something that eliminates a CV from being shared multiple times, or do you just annoy the recruiter if you do that?
I wouldn't say you would annoy the recruiter if you are suitable. So if I've got a job ad up and I'm looking for a production manager, someone who's worked in the food industry for the last 5 years and has experience with HACCP and BRC, and you're applying for jobs, but you work in the spa and you're looking to move to Ireland,
Yes.
I'm going to just red tick you, which means you'll get a response and it'll say, thank you, but you're not suitable. But if you want, if you are applying for jobs that you're suitable for and that you have the right qualification and the right experience, like my adverts are always really short, and I ask for very specific, if a client gives me 3 things they're looking for, so the qualification, the experience, and the industry, I'll put that in with a very short explanation of the company, and I'm expecting people to be applying who have what I'm looking for. So, South Africans that are applying and they don't explain what a company does. So, for instance, you're working at, I don't know, Tiger Brands.
Yes.
You're working in the pasta factory. People in Ireland don't necessarily know fatties and monies. So, you've got to you actually have to explain on the CV, I'm working for Tiger Brands, in the pasta factory that's called Fatties and Monies, and there's 400 people that work in our facility. That gives a very quick overview of where you're working, the size of the company. It'll automatically give me an understanding of, okay, that's a good match, you know.
Yes.
So just a one-line description. I don't want a whole paragraph on where they're placed, the biggest pasta manufacturing company in South Africa or whatever. All I want to know is it's pasta making and it's 400 people in the facility. You could even add a company website that is helpful, but don't just put the website, because you don't want people leaving your CV. You know, once I've left the CV and I'm now looking at websites, then I might never get back to your CV. So yeah. So you want to be explaining the information in the CV, but I don't want a 6-page CV either.
Got you. And in terms of 6-page CVs, what is the optimal size of length of a CV that you would look for?
Maximum 3.
Okay.
Maximum 3 pages. Don't waste the first page where you've just got a blank page saying curriculum vitae of Johannes Jacobus Leonardus de Toy. I'm not interested, you know. Just start at have your first page with the biographical information. I don't need to know your ID number. I don't need to know how many kids you've got or anything like that. All I want to know is your name, that you're in South Africa, you need a general work permit, or you need a critical skills, or you have a golden ticket, you've got an EU passport, and then your qualifications, and then your experience. So, that's what we'd be looking for.
And in terms of qualifications, a lot of people in South Africa have their schooling on their CVs. Do you guys look for that?
Not necessarily. If you've got a degree or a trade, it really isn't relevant. The only way it could possibly be relevant is if the hiring manager is from Uitenhage and he sees, oh, you went to Riebeek in Uitenhage, and that makes a connection. But I don't need to see all your subjects and what the percentage is and all the rest.
Highest marks.
Yeah. All it needs to say is Riebeek College, Uitenhage, 1984, leaving cert, and that's it, So,
then in terms of giving information that displays your age, how would that affect people? Like, a lot of people say to remove it completely.
Yes, I do agree, because what would happen is there would be an automatic bias. But I suppose the other thing is that we can pretty much work out from your first job. So if you started working in 1989, I'm pretty sure you must be in your late 50s by now.
Yes.
So yes, you don't have to put the year you matriculated in. And if you are mature, do know that Ireland is pretty good at taking on mature people. They do see a value in it. It's not like if you're over 45, you're a dinosaur. They do see a value in it, and they see that the more mature people do stick it out, and this might be your last job, kind of thing.
Yeah, like Lynn, who was going to be on the session today with us, for instance, they moved over when she was 62, and she was in employment since when they arrived. In different employments.
Yes.
She wasn't with one company because one of them were liquidated in between.
Yeah.
She was at different companies all the way through to retirement.
Okay.
So it's definitely a thing for people. If you are looking at moving over and you are more mature, Ireland is very much different to South Africa in terms of appointing people based on experience that come with time.
Yeah.
So the other thing is LinkedIn. Now, a lot of people in South Africa back in the day didn't have LinkedIn, didn't use LinkedIn, and then
Yes.
here you come, and LinkedIn is a big thing. How big a thing is LinkedIn here?
Well, it is big because what will happen is I'll get your CV and then I want to go and have a look at, what your LinkedIn page says. Is it the same as what your CV says? Are the dates the same? And I get to have a look at your picture so I can see, what you look like.
Yes.
And obviously you want to have a really professional picture up. You're not lying on the bed in a pose or in your Speedo or whatever. So LinkedIn is important because sometimes companies will only look in LinkedIn. They'll actually search LinkedIn for particular skills. So if you have a very specific skill set and you're looking to move over, it's really worth your while to put yourself out there on LinkedIn. Same thing at the top, you can put that you're willing to relocate, that you require a critical skills work permit, and the candidates who are well informed and put, I require a critical skills permit and my SOC code 643. It shows that you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
That you're not just winging it.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. And then in terms of job titles, we often have it like people come over, and we've seen, Megs and I get it when we go into the coaching sessions, where someone will say that this is what their job title is, but it's known as something different in Ireland.
Yes.
Do you see that as a factor at all?
I do, and if your CV is going through a candidate tracking system, if you're applying to a big company, when you're applying through agencies, you're still dealing with humans mostly, where we actually have to read the CV. But if you're going through an ATS, they're going to be looking for specific wording, and if they're advertising for a team leader and your CV says that you're a process champion, you're not going to get called. So you really need to put that you are a team leader. So if the job says production supervisor and you are self-employed and you put that you're the CEO, we're not going to phone you because we're not looking for a CEO.
Yes. All right. So people need to, would it be plausible for people to go onto sites like Indeed and type in the different titles that is associated with what they do, and then look at the volume of positions that come up before they start applying?
Yeah, 100%. And then tailor your CV for each application. If someone's looking for a production supervisor, call yourself a production supervisor if that's your background. Don't leave it as team lead because you might not get picked up. So make sure that you tailor your CV to what we're looking for. So match the wording so that we can understand why you're applying.
Got you. Now, another thing that we see is when people come over, we've had it where people move and then they expect to move into the same level of position that they had in South Africa. But then other people do it where they take a couple of steps back just to get into the job market and work their way up. And a lot of people do that quite quickly, that they manage to get themselves up higher. In terms of adaptability, how would people indicate that on their CV? Because obviously the experience is as this, but you are applying for positions that aren't necessarily that are a few steps back. Well, how would they bridge that?
They would need to dumb down their CV. So if you are self-employed and you call yourself the CEO of the business, you actually have to strip that all the way back and just say that you are a team lead or something like that. Because what's going to happen is companies or agencies are going to they're going to see CEO and just go straight past. Your 7 seconds is up. We've now gone through, all of your personal information, and now we're reading down, and the first thing we hit is CEO.
Yes.
And then that doesn't, that's not what I'm looking for. And people don't have the capacity to think, okay, hang on now. He's self-employed, he's calling himself a CEO, but actually he's a jack of all trades. He's doing accounts, he's doing sales, he's doing production, he's doing HR, he's doing everything. So
yes.
If I'm asking for a team lead, call yourself a team lead. Don't call yourself a CEO, because it really doesn't mean anything here. And then if you're coming here and you say, yeah, but I'll do anything, your CV doesn't show that. Your CV looks like you're looking for, a CEO job.
Yes.
So you really need to just strip it all back. And I'm not saying lie about your CV, just strip it back.
Yes, reword it. I've got a saying that there's many ways that you can say something like, I can call my neighbor a busybody and she'd be offended, but I can say she's tenacious and she'd probably be quite happy about that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The way you say things matter in the context of which you're saying them.
That's it, exactly. So that and then the self-employed bit is really hard for the Irish to accept, because the first thing they think is, well, how long are they going to stay with me before they open their own business? Number one.
Yes.
Number two, how easy are they going to be to manage? They've been a manager, they've owned their own business, they're going to start telling me what to do. So if you're self-employed and you're coming over and you don't intend to start a business, or if your intention is once you settle to start a business and you're playing the CV game, take self-employed out. Honestly, it doesn't do you any favors when people are looking at your CV.
Okay. Take self-employed out if you're looking for work. Other things that South Africans do that they are missing when they're contacting recruiters.
So I think they think that you're the only person that I'm dealing with right now. So, I'll get text messages saying, hi, I applied for the fitter job. Can we have a call? And I don't know who you are. I don't know what your name is, so I can't find your CV. So, give me a little bit of context and give me a little bit more information. I don't mind WhatsApp messages. I know WhatsApp is big. It's free and it's much easier and more accessible for South Africans. I don't know that goes for everybody in recruitment, or if you're applying to an actual company. So I don't mind people WhatsApping me. I don't mind doing WhatsApp calls. That might be something you could put on your CV, is that the best way to contact me is via WhatsApp.
Yes.
That's the one thing. The other thing that isn't clear is whether or not you need a visa. Also, if you have a specific location in mind, I've got family in Cork. I want to settle in Cork. If you've decided you're moving and your flights are booked for August, tell me. Say
yes.
Flights booked in August, arriving, hoping to settle in Cork, kind of thing. So location, an ETA, all of that type of thing is important. And attach your CV. Don't email me and give me a long blurb and then there's no CV attached, so I can't even have a look what it is that you've done and how I might be able to align you with something that I've got.
Completely understand that. With regards to speaking about areas, a lot of people when they come over kind of tend to, we kind of see two separate situations where you've got people that aim specifically for the big cities. Well, big cities in terms of Ireland, big cities, but relative to South Africa, not so big cities, but big cities.
Yeah.
And then you've got people who tend to look outside the big cities because of the cost of rentals for when they arrive initially. It's a big thing when you come over. You still have rands in your pockets. You're not earning the euros yet. So every penny saves makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of looking for work when you have come over already, right? So I'm not talking about people who are still in South Africa that don't have a specific area yet.
Yeah.
People who have arrived and have landed in an area and they find themselves to be more rural. There's definitely challenges that come along with that.
Yes.
Is there any advice that you can give to people when they're coming over in terms of consideration for area, or once they have landed and they may land in a more rural area, things to be open to, like the travel and so on?
Yeah, so I think often what happens is people, if they're able, they come and they stay with friends or family, just as a landing pad to start, and they start looking for work, and they think, well, my friends are in Galway, I better try and find a job in Galway. Sometimes that'll work for you, but other times it won't. And it's really difficult to secure a rental in Cavan, for instance, and then arrive and then realize, well, okay, Cavan's got a big mushroom farm and they've got a few abattoirs and that's it,
And they've got a shop that sells generators for when
Exactly.
there's storms.
Yeah. So that, you have to understand that you've got to do your homework. And so I often get people from the mining industry, and we don't have much mining here in
No.
Ireland. And apart from the mechanics side, where people are working in maintenance, those skills are fairly transferable. But if you're I don't know, a gemologist or something to do with the soil or whatever, you've got to figure out how that skill is going to be transferable into the Irish industries.
Yes.
And if it's not, you've got to realize that you're not going to. I had a guy who was a game park manager.
Okay.
He came over and he was really annoyed that he couldn't get a job in his industry. And apart from Photo Wildlife Park in Cork,
Yes.
there isn't a lot, that he could do. And he just he couldn't understand when I kept saying to him, what else is it related to? How else could what else could you do if you weren't running a game farm? Trying to point him in the direction of, okay, maybe I need to look at hospitality, or I need to look at something. I mean, all he was interested in was hunting and wild animals, but we don't have that. So you have to try and align what you've got to what we offer here. I mean, it might not be a match. So, So you've got to figure out, okay, well, if I can't do that, well, then what can I do? Can I work in a factory just as a whacker, or can I don't know, become a driver, or become a train driver or a bus driver or whatever.
Bus driver.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really difficult sometimes when people have a very specific career and they come here, and I often find it difficult to figure out what a person does from South Africa's point of view and how that could, translate to something that we would look for here.
Yes. And in terms of preparing for the interview, so now the person has gotten the interview, how do they prepare for the interview? So if you are notifying someone you'd like to contact them about position, that first contact that they have with you obviously makes a big impression that either drives the application forward or halts it at that stage.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to people with regards to that?
Well, you have to be prepared. If you're talking to the agency, it's a different story because we haven't told you yet who the client is or what the industry is or anything like that. So it's very
Yes.
exploratory on both sides. So I'm trying to find out whether you're any match for what I'm looking for, and you're trying to gain information to see whether it's going to suit you. So on the agency side, that's one thing. But if you're applying directly to a company, let's say you're a process engineer and you apply to Stryker for a job in their medical device facility, you need to then, once you've applied, you need to go and do some homework on Stryker. You need to understand what their business is. You need to understand where they're based. You need to understand who their clients are and things like that. And all of that information is readily available on the internet. So if you're having the exploratory conversation with the agency, we don't expect you to know anything. But if you're having a Skype or a video or a Teams interview with a client, you definitely have to be, you've got to be prepared. You have to know what they're looking for and how your experience aligns with what they're looking for and what you
Yes.
can bring to the business. And then be able to answer the question, why Stryker? Why are you interested in Stryker? So you need to have done your research to find out, why Stryker would be a company of choice.
Yes.
So, that would be your initial interview. But once you get to a face-to-face interview, the thing I find the South Africans do most often is talk themselves right out of the interview. So they talk themselves out of the job. They oversell themselves. And
Okay.
that's a very typical South African mentality. So because in South Africa, we are taught to blow our own horn, because if you don't blow your own
Yes.
horn, you're not going to get the job. Whereas here, they find that really bombastic and a little bit pushy and over the top, and they don't like that. Especially the Irish male, when he's talking to a South African male, he finds them very aggressive. So
Okay.
just the tone, even the tone, it's pushy and it's
Be a little bit more humble.
yeah, you've got to dial it back a whole lot. So I think I know from experience, my husband, when we arrived here, he battled to find work. Even though I'm in the industry, it took him years to find work. He was self-employed in South Africa.
Okay.
Every time he went for an interview, I would sit down and I would prepare him for the interview and tell him what to say. He didn't listen to what I had to say. And he would go in and be all buckhat, I own my own business and I can do this and
Yes.
I can do that, and I would have your business doing this and that before you could blink. And then he never got the jobs. So he landed up working in the factory in Apple for years and years and years. And it was very frustrating for him because he is a real smart businessman. And to go
Yes.
from, having a really successful business in South Africa to working as a worker in the Apple factory, it was
Yes.
hard. But
Um, it,
he did it
it
for years, 10 years.
it is one of those things that a lot of people find very difficult when they're moving over, when it's people that are not coming with critical skills visas and things like that, for instance,
Yeah,
is to make that mental adjustment. And I think people don't always understand, coming from South Africa, that the pace is so different here.
very different.
It's in South Africa, you have to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you've got to work like you don't like your family at all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
possibly work after hours and be the best that you could possibly be, and make sure that everybody knows that you are all that in a bag of chips.
Yes.
Whereas here, you're sitting with someone and they may not like chips.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is an adjustment in terms of pace.
Yes.
Work-life balance and all those things come into it, which is very different here.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I was chatting to a guy today. So I've a South African guy who came over on a critical skills, He worked with a company. He's been there a year and a half, and they have worked him to the bone. And I said to him, you you teach people how to treat you. And they brought you in, and you came in, and you were there at 6, and you left at 9, and you worked weekends, and they just thought that was normal because that's what you offered in the beginning. That's not what they needed in the beginning, but you just worked because you were trying to prove yourself.
Yes.
And then they couldn't dial, the company just wouldn't dial it back because he made himself so available in the beginning. So it is something, and then you make your fellow workers look bad as well as your boss. So you just have to be, just come in at their pace and work at their pace. And obviously you want to progress, but don't do it in the first week,
Yeah, yes. We often see it with women as well, and we have it when we've got the coaching sessions with them, whereas in South Africa you kind of pretend that you don't like your family, but here mentioning that you have children isn't something that counts against you.
No, not at all.
It's almost looked at like you're someone who takes care of your responsibilities because you have a family, rather than downplaying that you've got one. So that is something that people need to adjust to as well, which brings us to attitude and expectations.
Yeah, so I would say in terms of attitude, I've spoken about the male ego in particular. That is, and it's not once or twice. I've been in this job 19 years, and I'd say each and every time I have South Africans interviewing, I've got to tell them, because even when they're talking to me, they're really aggressive and they're telling me how wonderful they are. And I've got to try and help them to understand that. And the other thing is, I often have, because I'm South African and they think that it's okay, but they'll swear in our telephone conversations, and they'll F and blind, and it doesn't go down well, because I'd be afraid that you'd do that in an actual interview. So you've got to keep it professional, whether you're talking to an agency or the company. So attitude is, you really need to adjust your attitude, that you might not get what you're looking for, number one. Number two, if you work at Tesco on the till, that doesn't make you anything less than me. That was something really startling for me when I had my kids were at school with other kids, and the mom worked at Tesco, and that was okay, whereas in South Africa,
there is a bit of a hierarchy.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So that's not here. Everybody who's got a job, it doesn't matter what you do, and nobody says how hard you
That's
drive.
what counts.
So those attitudes, you need to leave in South Africa. It's completely different here.
We often say that, like, if you look at the area all over the place, you'll have the person who's cleaning the doctor's room, whose house is next to the doctor, and they were at school together.
Yes.
And they live there, and they go play golf together because they're mates, and they just grew up together, and that's just how it is. And people greet the cleaner in Tesco's to the same extent as what they greet the person that works at the till, to the same 100%. Extent as what they greet the manager, because everybody contributes towards their community and making their day better. So it's a very big adjustment in terms of that when you come over. Where you've got the little house next to the really, really nice house. But both people visit each other at the pub every Friday, so that no one has to do dishes afterwards.
Exactly. And then in terms of expectations, your responsibility is to keep in touch with so first of all, you need to keep a log of where you're applying for jobs. So don't contact me about a job And then I say, okay, well, the job's with Glennon Brothers in Fermoy. They are a timber processing facility. Have you applied to that? I don't know how I've sent my CV to Lang places. I don't know. You need to be able to tell me, no, I haven't, or yes, I have. So keep a log, make it professional. This is serious. You're making a huge change in your life, so take it seriously.
Yes.
And then understand that recruiters are busy people. I mean, I've got 36 live jobs at the moment, and I talk to, I don't know, 60 people, different people every day. So don't expect me to remember who you are. You have to give me a little bit of context, and
Yes.
you need to chase me. If you've applied for a job and you meet what I've asked for in the advert, drop me an email, drop me a text message or a WhatsApp message and say, hi, it's George here. I applied for the fitter job. I'm currently working as a fitter in this company. And then, it'll encourage me to contact you.
Yes.
So do make sure that you drive the process. Don't just sit back. And I wouldn't imagine any recruiter would be annoyed at a good candidate trying to get them a job.
Okay. Now, with that being said, a lot of the applications are done on sites like Indeed, where they have. So, if a recruiter has contacted you via the chat function on Indeed, for instance, and there's been some back and forth, and then the conversation stops at a point where would it be okay? As a recruiter, would you prefer that that person then reaches out because the conversation's already been taken place on the chat, or drop an email rather to say just following up to see if the position is still available?
Yeah, 100%. If the recruiter's name is on the job ad, go and look them up on their website. And on their website, I'm sure their mobile number will be there, and so will their email address. Just take the initiative. Don't sit back and wait and say, oh, nobody ever contacted me.
Yes.
Just, I suppose the South African it's become a whole lot harder because of the travel visa. So clients are aware that, not only do they have to get a general work permit, but they've also got to get this travel visa. So the work permit comes through and then you apply for your travel visa and it takes ages. So you have to drive the process.
Okay. That's a very good note for us to end off here today, Mandy. It's definitely left some food for thought, and it would be helpful for people, whether you're looking to come over, whether you've just arrived, whether you've been here a year or 2 years or 10 years. All this information will help drive towards being able to find the job that you're looking for. And we've got Mandy's details on the website. If you go into the business listing, FRS is listed right there. Click on it, contact Mandy and Jason, reach out, and let's be the kind of people who are applying for positions with them that keeps them so busy that they complain about how well things are going.
That would be great. Yeah, that'd be great. And then just for you to understand that if your experience isn't something I recruit for, all I can do is forward your details to my colleagues on the different desks, and then you need to drive that connection. I can't force my colleagues to call you if they don't have a job that you're suitable for.
Yes.
So, I tend to still contact the South Africans, and if you've got skills that I'm looking for, I might still contact you to say, okay, well, try and find out how far along in the process, have you sold the house? Have you got tickets booked? Do you know what you're coming? Do you know what you need? That you need a general work permit? Do you understand what that means? That you can't bring your family with you, and all of the if you're prepared and you know what you're doing, then
Yes.
I want to engage with you. But if you say, well, I haven't really looked at that. I don't know. It's just, we're talking about it. It's kind of like a pipe dream. I'm too busy for that.
Got you, Mandy. Mandy has supplied us with a very nice little checklist that if Mandy gives us permission, we'll make sure it goes onto the website as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So happy days, Mandy. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. I'm definitely booking you for another hour in the near future.
No problem.
So we can get a little bit deeper into some of these things.
Perfect.
And then hopefully we can get our SAFers employed. And like I said, we can keep you guys busy. And that, all of that makes us
100%.
very happy.
Super. Thanks, Vicky.
Happy days, Mandy. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a lovely day further.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.